Have you ever felt like your own mind was your biggest enemy? Like no matter how hard you try, every thought drifts away, leaving you frustrated, stuck, and unsure of how to move forward. That's exactly how Ethan felt on the evening that would change his life forever. Ethan, 17, shuffled down the quiet streets of Maplewood, a small suburban town where everyone knew each other's business. His backpack hung lazily from one shoulder, bouncing slightly with each step. He had just finished his shift at the diner, where he washed dishes and served coffee for minimum wage, earning barely enough to help his mom with bills and save a little for college. His legs ached, and his stomach grumbled, but it wasn't just fatigue that weighed him down. His mind buzzed with 1,000 scattered thoughts, none of them useful. Focus, Ethan, just focus, he told himself, staring at a cracked sidewalk. But within seconds, his attention wandered. He noticed a car's headlights flashing down the street, a group of kids laughing across the park, and a flashing neon sign from the local arcade that reminded him of every game he'd abandoned mid-level. Schoolwork, college applications, his part-time job, all seemed distant and unmanageable, like mountains he couldn't climb. As he walked, his eyes caught movement on the corner. An elderly man was struggling to carry several large packages, his hands trembling under the weight. Ethan paused, unsure whether to intervene. I should help, right? He thought. But what if I can't manage the heaviest one? What if I just make things worse? Before he could overthink it further, the man looked up and saw him. Hey, young man. The voice was calm but edged with fatigue. Would you mind helping me with these? I need to deliver them across town. I can carry a couple. But the last one, it's just too much for me. Ethan stepped closer, his curiosity piqued. Yeah, sure, I can help. The man smiled, relief washing over his features. Thank you. I promise it'll be worth your while. Just helping me with these packages, each one safely delivered, will earn you some cash. I run a small delivery business. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Extra money was always welcome. But there was something else, a flicker of purpose he hadn't felt in a long time. Here was a task, tangible and real, where he could actually make a difference. Not just dream about doing something. Not just scroll through his phone. But actually help someone and earn honestly for it. The first package was light, filled with papers and small office supplies. He lifted it easily and started walking alongside the man. Good job, the man said, a kind twinkle in his eyes. Most teens wouldn't even notice the effort it takes to deliver something properly. You're steady and careful. I like that. Ethan nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips. I try. I don't like slacking off. They walked in silence for a while, Ethan noticing the way the old man's eyes kept glancing at him. Is he worried I'll run off with the packages? Ethan wondered. A flush of defensiveness warmed his cheeks. No, I'm not a thief. I've never cheated anyone. I'm just trying to make a living honestly. As they approached a small bridge over a narrow river, the man set down 2 of the lighter packages and looked at Ethan. The last one is the heaviest. And it's very important. You'll need to focus all your strength to carry it safely. Are you sure you're up for it? Ethan hesitated, the weight of responsibility settling in. He had never faced anything like this before. Usually, he could drift through his day, half paying attention, half distracted by every passing thought. But now, in this moment, there was no room for wandering attention. He had to concentrate on his steps, his grip, and on doing the right thing. I can do it, he said, determination mixing with nerves. I'll carry it safely. The old man studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. Good, that's all I ask. Just focus, and you'll define. Ethan lifted the package, feeling the surprising heft of it. His muscles protested, his palms ached, but he felt a strange sense of pride. For the first time, he realized what it meant to truly focus on something important. Every step, every careful motion mattered. He wasn't just walking, he was proving to himself that he could control his mind, his body, and his choices. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the streets of Maplewood, Ethan couldn't yet know that this simple act of helping an old man carry a package would become the first lesson in a life-changing journey, one that would teach him about focus, temptation, and the extraordinary power of controlling his mind. The third package was massive, far heavier than Ethan had imagined. It shifted slightly in his hands, and he felt every muscle in his arms and shoulders strain under the weight. The old man, Mr. Howard, watched him carefully, his sharp eyes studying every movement. "This one is the most important," Mr. Howard said quietly. "You'll need steady hands, a steady mind, and patience. Are you ready?" Ethan swallowed hard, nodding. I'll do my best." Step by step, he lifted the package onto his shoulder and began the steep climb up the hill that led toward the neighboring street. The air was warm, tinged with the scent of autumn leaves and freshly mown grass. But he barely noticed. All he could feel was the weight of the package, the burn in his arms, and a strange nervous excitement coursing through him. Halfway up, Ethan's mind began its familiar drift. If I just leave now, no one could stop me. I'd finally have the money I need. I could pay for college, help mom, get that laptop I've wanted for months. The thought was electric, like a spark threatening to ignite a wildfire. He stopped for a moment, leaning against the package, catching his breath. A swirl of images flashed in his mind: a luxurious car, a modern apartment, friends impressed by his sudden wealth, freedom from all his worries. It could be so easy, he thought, a strange thrill creeping through him. "Ethan?" Mr. Howard's voice called from below. "Are you okay? Don't rush. Take your time." Ethan shook himself, trying to push the tempting thoughts away. "I'm fine," he said, his voice firm but betraying a hint of tension. I need to focus." He continued climbing, forcing his attention onto each step, each careful movement. His arms trembled, his heart pounded, but he reminded himself to breathe, to focus. For a while, it worked. The mental tug-of-war between temptation and discipline seemed manageable. But then, as he reached a small plateau near the top, the internal struggle returned, stronger than before. The package felt heavier now. Not just in his hands but in his mind. No one could see me. No one could stop me. I could have everything I've ever wanted. His pulse quickened. He imagined the thrill of running, the adrenaline of escaping responsibility while gaining instant rewards. Every rational thought, the importance of trust, honesty, and patience, felt like it was being drowned out by the rush of desire. Ethan slowed, gripping the package tightly, sweat dripping down his face. He remembered every lesson his teachers had tried to instill: focus, discipline, patience, but it all seemed abstract until now. The temptation was real, tangible, and terrifyingly close to overpowering him. He shook his head again, trying to refocus. "No," he muttered. I can't. I won't." Yet, even as he spoke the words, a small, dangerous part of his mind whispered back, "What if this is your only chance?" The hill grew steeper, and the weight pressed harder on his shoulders. Ethan stumbled, catching himself with a sharp exhale. His legs burned, his arms shook violently, but he knew he had to keep going. Focus, Ethan, one step at a time. For a few moments, he succeeded. He breathed steadily, adjusted his grip, and pressed onward, but the whispers of temptation kept returning, growing louder. He imagined the relief, the instant solution to all his problems, the respect he'd gain from everyone if he somehow succeeded. His heart thumped violently in his chest. Finally, at the very top of the hill, Ethan paused, exhausted. He looked down at the empty street below, imagining what it would feel like to run, to escape with the package. The allure was overwhelming. For a fleeting second, he let himself consider it, just for a moment, just to feel free, just to taste the possibility of what could be. And then, instinctively, his conscience fought back. He remembered his mom's words that morning: "Ethan, remember that doing the right thing is always worth more than a shortcut." He remembered Mr. Howard's cautious eyes, trusting him to carry something valuable. Still, the temptation lingered like a shadow. What if I fail anyway? Ethan thought. What if I work hard and it's not enough? What if I miss my chance to finally get ahead? His pulse raced. His body shook with the effort of carrying the package and holding back the flood of desires in his mind. He was caught in the tension between discipline and impulsivity, focus and distraction, integrity and temptation. Then, something shifted. Ethan took a deep breath, letting the air fill his lungs. He closed his eyes briefly and visualized the consequences, not just of running, but of staying disciplined. He imagined the satisfaction of completing the task honestly, the pride in proving to himself that he could control his mind. and the long-term benefits of patience. "I can do this. I will focus. I won't give in," he whispered to himself. With renewed determination, Ethan planted his feet firmly, gripped the package tightly, and continued the climb. The temptation didn't vanish completely, but he learned to hold it at bay, channeling all his energy into the present moment. Every step became deliberate, every breath intentional. As he reached the crest of the hill, a sense of triumph washed over him, not because he had succeeded in carrying a package, but because he had confronted the storm inside his own mind. He realized that focus wasn't just about schoolwork or chores. It was about controlling the cascade of thoughts that could either lift him toward success or pull him into regret. And yet, even in that moment of clarity, Ethan couldn't know how much the next choice would test him, how the power of a single thought could alter the course of his life forever. Ethan's legs burned, his arms trembled, and his heart pounded as he finally reached the final stretch of the hill. The street ahead was empty, bathed in the soft glow of streetlights. For the first time in his life, he felt the full weight, not just of the package, but of the responsibility it represented. Every decision he had made in the last hour, every thought he had entertained, seemed to converge into this single moment. He set the package down carefully, breathing heavily, his face slick with sweat. He glanced at the old man, Mr. Howard, who was still a few steps behind, smiling faintly. "You've come far, Ethan," the man said, "but there's one last thing you need to decide. What will you do with the package now?" Ethan's mind suddenly flooded with the forbidden possibilities he had tried so hard to resist. "I could take it. No one would ever know. I could solve everything, my college applications, my family's bills, my life. I could finally feel free." His pulse quickened as the fantasy played out vividly in his mind. Friends impressed by his sudden wealth, independence from all responsibility, admiration, a life of ease he had never dared to imagine. He picked the package up again, his grip tight, his chest aching from both physical exertion and the surge of temptation. "Just a moment, one small moment won't matter," he thought, rationalizing the decision to himself. "I deserve this. I've worked hard." For a heartbeat, he considered running, the package under his arm, abandoning everything and everyone. And then, almost instinctively, he paused. His conscience whispered, faint but persistent, "Ethan, remember who you are. Remember what honesty means. Remember what focus and discipline are really worth." But the temptation didn't disappear. It lingered, insidious and bright, urging him toward instant gratification. His hands shook. The city seemed to quiet around him, the wind holding its breath, waiting for his choice. Then Ethan remembered his mom's words from the morning. Doing the right thing is always worth more than a shortcut. And Mr. Howard's cautious trust. The thought of letting both down made a pang of shame ripple through him. He closed his eyes and took a slow, deliberate breath, feeling the cool night air fill his lungs. "I can't. I won't give in," he said quietly, almost to himself. With effort, he focused solely on each step, each careful movement as he carried the package toward Mr. Howard's house at the far end of the street. The temptation still whispered in the back of his mind, but now he had learned to hold it at bay, to direct his thoughts toward the present task rather than fantasies of instant gain. Finally, he reached Mr. Howard's doorstep. Gasping for breath, Ethan set the package down gently. The old man studied him, a faint smile spreading across his face. "Well done," he said simply. "You passed the first test. But there is something you should know." Ethan looked at him, puzzled. "What do you mean?" Mr. Howard gestured toward the package. Ethan opened it, expecting it to contain valuable items. Maybe money, maybe something tangible. Instead, he found only old notebooks, smooth stones, and a neatly folded letter. He picked up the letter with trembling hands and read aloud. "I have been searching for someone who can focus, exercise discipline, and control their thoughts. This package was never about wealth. It was a test of character. The person who successfully completes this task will inherit my business and my mentorship. A chance to build a future grounded in patience, honesty, and responsibility. You have shown me that you can control your mind, resist temptation, and stay true to your values. That is the greatest reward of all." Ethan's heart swelled with relief and awe. The weight he had carried, the physical strain, the mental struggle, suddenly transformed into understanding. Every step, every choice, Every battle with temptation had shaped this moment. He realized that success, real success, was not about shortcuts or fleeting rewards. It was about the ability to focus, to discipline the mind, and to make deliberate choices, even when no one was watching. Tears pricked his eyes as he looked at Mr. Howard. I understand now," he said softly. "It wasn't the package itself that mattered. It was how I handled it, how I controlled my mind." Mr. Howard nodded. "Exactly, Ethan. Every thought you allow yourself to dwell on becomes a seed. Those seeds grow into habits, and those habits shape the life you will lead. Learn to plant the right seeds, and you can shape your future." Ethan nodded slowly, feeling a deep sense of clarity he had never experienced before. That night, he walked home lighter, not because the package was gone, but because he understood the profound power he held within himself. Ethan's story reminds us that our thoughts are not trivial, they shape our actions, habits, and ultimately, our destiny. A single moment of distraction or temptation can change the course of our lives. While discipline, focus, and honesty can open doors to opportunities we never imagined, controlling your mind isn't always easy, but it is the first step toward transforming your life. Thank you for watching the entire story. If Ethan's journey inspired you, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future stories about growth, focus, and personal transformation. Remember, your thoughts are powerful. Choose them wisely.